Hi guys, it's Alan. Um, I'm putting this on just because, well, for people, a lot of the people who are target individuals. Let me just, even in a lot of these chats, and I don't know what ratio, but it's an extremely small amount. At first, when we most of us heard of it in 2017, 2018, 2015, we were thinking it could be huge. And then with the pandemic, we thought, well, it could be through this technology or the vaccine that it could be. I started getting, before I had an operation when I was 14, 1986, 87, something like that. And I started getting this pain for literally 30 years, and it was always right here. And I never thought any monkey business ever in 30 years. I just figured somebody, when they did the operation, they messed up, and now I left with a pain. I certainly didn't think somebody was intentionally did something. I certainly never thought that. I just thought it was accidental. But because I was still alive, and this caused a lot of it caused a pain and depression because you're in pain, and it takes away a lot of your emotions, how you actually feel. And it's literally done in the hopes be that you experience the depression, and with V2K, maybe they can read your thoughts, or to, whether to get you to kill yourself. And that's what V2K and all this, as horrible as that is. I come from a very religious town, very proud of its evangelical, conservative, Christian. Our secular schools in Dallas, Oregon, Lyle School, Oakdale, Whitworth, these are the secular schools, and we got weekday school of the Bible. And you would think with all this drain the swamp talk that they'd be the first ones to say, we can't, this is horrible, this is gross. They wag their finger about the smallest thing when it's liberals or other conservatives do something, bribing or, drain the swamp. But they take money for torture. It's a government program to see what goes on with the brain and the EEG, and just to see what happens to a person when they have to live their entire life in pain. They put forgive the term implant, but implanted biosensor. It's like people with pacemakers. They have biosensors that can read back the vital signs back, miles away, and they can read it, on their computer what the person's vitals are. And they can do the same thing now when you're a target individual. Evidently, that's what we've been raised to think or believe. But we know with V2K and that they can mimic your thoughts and read them. They can on a computer screen. That's why people that are like Stephen Hawking was able to read, put his thoughts out there because there was a chip. And just like Elon Musk was talking about, he can help people now with severe injuries by reading their thoughts with chips. Thank goodness for that. Now our government has used this technology to see what they can do in an evil sense. How can they take this wonderful technology and use it in an evil sense and give people money for it? And of course, no consent given to me, no asking me when I was 14 or when I was 20 or 30 or 40. They just tried to get rid of me because I was still alive. And, well, the government, they wanted to break this technology open and use this and make it public so they can use this to help people that are sick, the good stuff. But I don't know if they're going to use this, make it public, the bad stuff. But with the target individuals and Havana syndrome in the news, well, this is really our government's attempt at an alibi. for what they're doing. They're trying to blame it on Cuba and China and Russia. And it's really our own government doing it to us. And when you come from a small town, it is our own small towns doing this to us also. That's what's horrible. It's our own and families, friends, neighbors, and a lot of the people that are even in some of our chats. We know when you're an actual TI, we know that a lot of the people pretending are, I don't get into that whole perp thing and who is and who isn't. You just know people that are always trying to start arguments and fights. And anyway, it's like January 6th. The feds do that. They pretend to be cops, or they infiltrate the cops, or just part of the cops, and just some allow people to come in, other ones block it, and other people, it's to create this information and disinformation, make it vague. Anyway, with biosensors, see, I literally went over 30 years praying every night, every day, just why do I have this side pain? Why, and it takes away your sense of self, your feelings, your emotions. The strength of it is very low because they literally, nobody's telling you this, they literally put a little, I don't know if the word, it's a biosensor, but in a little electrode, however small it is, right here, and it sets this very low, extremely low frequency, like a charge, an electrical charge. It's like a little TENS unit that is constantly going, and that little electrical charge is blocking you from feeling your emotions right here. It's constantly going, and it makes it to where you can't feel your own strength, your emotional strength. You can still have some emotions, but it's like I wouldn't say it's like it's hidden. It's still there. Your sense of self is there, but it's muted because of this radiation from the ELF. This biosensor is blocking from you feeling the strength of your own emotions. And so the whole time, 30 years, you're thinking something's wrong with you. Why can't I feel God? Why can't I feel Lord? What is it? Why can't I? You think it's you did something, your depression, or is it, it's not just a depression, but a sadness, because it's a pain that's down here. And it pulls on this area, and it is kind of like a depression, like a sadness, because you can't feel your own emotions, not very strongly. You can have an awareness of kind of how you feel, but you think, well, is it psychology? Is it? And it's like there's psychology in it, but it's really because of what they did. They put a biosensor. These people are so wrong and messed up. They treat us like animals. Like when it got found out that they take dogs and experiment on dogs. I mean, for pain, to see how dogs, and just to see the reaction. It's like we're human beings, and they still do it. They still do it. And you hope that there'd be a PETA for us, that there'd be a doctor that would come through, or a police officer, or a sheriff, somebody, we know, and all that moral stuff, all the Christian, and I, as a believer that studied they did this to me when I was studying to be a minister, a Pentecostal minister, after I left high school. But they did this to me when I was in high school, like 10th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, between those. And you're just wondering, what is this side pain? Why? And it 30 years later became it's exactly as Havana syndrome. You get this sharp pain that hits you right on the side or the head, or different parts of the body. For me, it was mainly right here, this chest area, and then there's the high pitch, not vertigo, but what's the high pitch sound that Havana syndrome has. Anyway, my fear is that they would somehow create this and download it and cause other people to have the same depression or same pain. They put a painful thing in your body to see how your brain and your emotions, how it affects you, and then they can read your thoughts. That's the worry, that they would download and install this into other people, just to see how it reacts with them, with their personality. I never hurt anybody, so it's not a punishment. I literally, even afterwards, I was very nice and calm. So in my case, it wasn't. I don't think it was a punishment of any kind. I just think I was a random person. They decided to, and they also get probably money after you die, and if, keep it quiet. They don't, they probably get money for it. But they are disgusting, and it makes you. It does when you come from a very good town, a town filled with, I thought, wonderful people. It was kind of a conservative, religious town. Very proud of its evangelical, conservative, religious heritage, but I was for 30 years in pain, and thankfully I got pain meds. But it's like you just want a doctor or somebody to tell you what it is. And then I go to a rally in Portland. Thank God for that. It was Ella Free and Dr. Matt Arnegard, and I don't know if that's his real name. Worked at the NIH, or Matthew Aaron or Arnegard, I don't know. But then you find out that it was an implanted on purpose, a little, whether the size is a grain of rice or whether it's, I don't know. And to realize people in your town, even though you had no enemies, they did this to you on purpose, and it blocks your emotions, your ability to feel. And anyway, what was amazing was about 12 times in my life where they turned it off. All that ELF, that something's wrong on that side, but you don't know. You want to know what it feels like to just feel the normal, and they turned it off like 12 times. They just turned it off, and your emotions come right back to you, literally within 2 seconds. Your emotions, the strength of your normal emotions, come right back, and you think, this is wonderful. This is how I'm supposed to be all the time. I'm supposed to feel this way all the time, because this is how I really am. If that very low frequency electrical was enough to block your emotions from you feeling your emotions, and your sense of emotional enjoyment, that sense of, I want this. And it puts a bunch of, if it is, because with V2K, they can put thoughts and ideas into your head. They can put religious stuff into your head, looping, kind of like an OCD thing. And it creates a lack, like, I want this, or it's like this too much of a religious ideal, to where it becomes almost moralistic, too much anti-self religious teaching. I think Robert Duncan, his first book about the Matrix, most TIs don't remember this one, but it was called, or dedicated to, the Saint. So I'm not sure if there's how many other people have this kind of implant for the Saint, that have this kind of religious looping program. For people who aren't TIs, this whole thing sounds nuts. Like, no way would our government do that. No way. It'd be so well known. Well, take a look how many books there are. Now, some of them might be I ordered mine from Amazon, but some of them might be, I ordered it from Amazon, but it could have been because it might have been just the Fusion Center sending them to me. I ordered it from Amazon, the Fusion Center sees it and then sends it to me thinking it's from Amazon. Anyway, I spent, this is from Marlene Winnell's book, Leaving the Fold, and it was a very big, helpful. A person's sense of self comes from an awareness and ownership of personal subjective experience. This requires a respect for your feelings and trust in judgments. And it's like this picture of Jesus and a picture of Marlene Winnell, in that, how Jesus becomes stronger, and the sense of self, the picture of yourself becomes weaker. And it's like from John the Baptist, he must increase, I must decrease. Like that's the ideal. That sounds like the moralistic ideal. Who's on the throne? Who's who's ruling your life? Who's on the throne of your life? Who's the king? It's like, he must increase, I must decrease. The problem is, as much as it sounds wonderful, when you can't feel your own feelings, and you feel like everything's selfish. It's selfish if I do something for myself. If I want to, and then where it blocks out your emotions and your sense of self. And it's this moral, and they literally made this technology to do this to people. To where if they do act selfish, they'll become ashamed. I mean, it's great if they are trying to weed out real selfishness. But sometimes in this program, we are dealing with people who are already kind and good. And any small thing of self, interest, or, they're already overly sensitive to being kind and giving towards other people, that any amount of trying to enjoy their own life or feeling their own emotions, they view it as selfish. As well, of course, the people saying that are the real selfish. Well, you're just being selfish. Oh, really? What do you want me to do? Well, I want you to do what I want. Oh, well, but I'm selfish if I do what you want. If I do what I want, then I'm selfish. But if I do what you want, then I'm self-giving. So you want me to always do everything that you want. And that's how it is. They always want what they want. But if I do something for myself, then okay, what would Jesus do? And they purposely block you from even having the ambition to feel your own thoughts or feel your own feelings. And it's real anti-self technology. And it's weird that a town like Dallas and Salem now would actually go along with this program and use a technology like this for torture. And I don't know if in the future, if they try to download this and they'll put it into more people. But let me say emphatically, I was never asked. I did not give consent. I was never asked. I would not have ever given my consent. If they wanted me to ask me about Christianity, it's like, yes, I love Christianity if they want to color it, but I would have never asked for a torture device in my side or my heart or my brain, ever. And I think with all this mumbo jumbo, the way lawyers try to put things in the bottom fine print, that they will, whether it's our government, whatever, if it's the 3-letter agencies, they will continue doing it to where you don't have any rights. Look what they did to this is right here. I was 14 and they still did it to me. Look at the support study, what they did to babies, premature babies that were not given the right amount of oxygen intentionally, just for the sake of science. It's like Eisenhower's interview. He said, watch out for people in government paychecks, because they're willing. Our government will give out military paychecks just for this, to do cruel things for the sake of intellectual curiosity, to see if they can get away with it, to see what will happen, to see what will happen to that person, to see what would happen and to see if they can get people to do it. Call it patriotic, call it whatever. They're doing it for the USA. They're getting tons of money for torture. And they hope the person dies and never finds out. That's why they live their entire life in pain. Because so-and-so and a bunch of other so-and-so they thought were friendly got extra money, a lot of extra money to torture them and to keep it secret. Well, I was lucky in that after 30 years, I found out through the rally in Portland and Havana syndrome. Havana syndrome is actually an alibi story for the target individual program. The same technology, the same Nikola Tesla type of technology, but it's really people focus on cell towers and Gwen towers and all this. In my case, that works too because it's wireless technology. But once they implant it, it's wireless, so they don't see the radiation. Or like a remote control voodoo doll, they don't see it going into the body. They just know the person can feel it. But when a person explains it to somebody, if the doctor or the therapist or anybody down the street has never heard of this, psychotronics, if they've never heard of this, they'll think, no way. No way. It's like, no, it is. There's a lot of books out there, lots of books on this subject. This is one, Under an Ionized Sky, from Chemtrails to Space Lockdown. Let's see. Invasion and Mind Control. I don't know if I have mind control, but it's just they try to influence your thoughts. Here's Robert Duncan, Project Soul Catcher. He was one of the scientists that helped make this stuff. But on page 282, he says that the Air Force in next year, 2025, is going to go public with this technology. On page 282, I think. So he said the Air Force is going to go public with this. So anyway, I encourage targeted justice and PACs. Icator, Frank Allen. I can't. It's just. It's weird as a TI, and for the last, since a lot of these target individual groups have started in 2014. In all that time, I think there's 2 FBI people that blew the whistle on this. 2. I think there's 1 or 2 police or sheriffs that I'd heard about in all the United States. 2. 2 in the FBI. NSA, the only ones I mean, there's a couple that are TIs or, so I'm glad for anybody that blows the whistle. But I'm just amazed. America is a Christian nation. All this, drain the swamp. But when it comes to, everyone else, they want to drain the swamp. They need to sacrifice. Don't be corrupt. Don't take corrupt bribe money for any reason. And yet they'll go around and do it for torture. They will take money for torture to torture somebody who never did anything wrong to any of them, to anybody. But then they'll go home and say, or church, and say, tell everyone else that they need to drain the swamp. And then invite people to go to their church with them. And I'm a pro-Christian person who studied to be a minister, an apologist, a defender. But when I found out after 30 years of just what is this site, to find out it was done on purpose, and that people in my own town knew about it and still know about it. And they know I know about it. They know I know about it, that they did it and are still doing it. But they're hoping that I check out early, die, and they don't have to deal with the embarrassment or the shame of who they really are. I'm like a walking commercial for their, not just hypocrisy, because anybody can be a hypocrite and do something that they normally. This is torture and cruelty. Them taking money, them signing non-disclosure agreements for torture, and signing non-disclosure agreements. Christians, evangelicals, fundamentalists, some Catholics, some Protestant, taking money for torture and non-disclosure agreements. Seeing me, oh, there's the guy that, we're allowing him to be tortured to death. Hope he gets himself off, just checks out early. But he does know. Oh, yeah, he knows. Yeah, he went to a rally, and it's like he knows what we're all about. He even called us, and the police and the whole bit. And he even tried to warn everybody in 2019 that the government was trying to do something and target people and torture people. And that was 2 months before the pandemic happened. I wrote on the street in front of the courthouse and in front of City Hall, spray painted it so that people would have to finally deal with it. I'm not a person who promotes that, but I wanted them to know it. I wanted them to talk about it. And I went to the newspaper twice with all the books showing, hey, here's all these books that show this is a real issue. Here's a video at the White House bioethics. The White House bioethics in 2011 and 2012, where it has Anthony Fauci's wife, a brilliant lady, brilliant nurse, I believe doctor, just a brilliant person, but part of the bioethics board. And the bioethics board is for the purpose of making sure that our government is not torturing or experimenting on its civilians, on its citizens, like it used to, MK Ultra. To make sure that our government, our military, is not poisoning or torturing its own citizens like it did in the past. The Church Committee in 1974, 75, I believe, or 76. Frank Church from Idaho, a senator, he put together, after MK Ultra, this torture LSD thing was done by our government, the CIA, by Sidney Gottlieb, onto unsuspecting fellow Americans. And they thought they would get away with it, but then people started coming out and coming forward. And he tried to burn the papers. He tried to burn the evidence, but a lot of the papers were still there, were still around. So it got found out that the Frank Church, the Church Committee. And anyway, this stuff is still going on. But because it's wireless, it's still happening to people. And it's important that people know about this. We don't know how many people. The big fear is that it was going to happen to tons of people during the pandemic. We don't know. We don't know what that vaccine has. We just don't know. But if people are going to be corrupted, even in our small towns, and ruin the legacy of their towns, ruin the legacy. Those towns are going to be known as, that's the town that had MK Ultra. They literally did this, and nobody told the guy or the lady for all these years while growing up, while being tortured and in pain constantly. Nobody told why they're in pain until that person found out, because there was enough people, or the NIH or somebody felt guilt, or somebody, they finally had a rally. And freedom for targeted individuals. Anyway, we don't know how many around the world this is, but I want people to know, if they've gone through this with side pain, or that they will create, our government, literally from the pandemic, it's proof enough, they will create a new sickness. They will create a new way of depression. They will create a new type of pain, just to see, and then not tell people, just to see if they can do it. And then not tell the people that they did it. And then make them buy new medication. Make them buy new, pharmacy stuff, new medication. You as a human being are not worth anything to them unless you can, only your money. And so they will create new sicknesses, new depressions, new pains, so that they will they can create more jobs and more medications that right now you don't need, but they're going to create a new sickness, a new pain, and then force you, because of this new sickness and pain, have to go to your doctor and get a new type of medication. And that's how the wheel rolls. Instead of just helping solve the common cold or the sicknesses that do exist, they're creating new sicknesses. So anyway, I hope you take this seriously. I hope it doesn't happen to any of you. But if it does, I hope this will help you at least understand what it is. And hopefully our government will come clean about this. I hope it won't be too much longer. And that some engineers will come forward with the technology to shield us from these implants, or from what are they called? The block RF radio frequencies, jammers, radio or signal jammers, so something like that. I don't care if it's illegal. It's when they torture us and try to cause our death, we need to be able to have jammers to block it. Christian America, it's not what it used to be. So anyway, I'm having hope. I'm glad that we have targeted individual groups and targeted justice and PACs and Frank and Ikator, and I'm just thankful that I'm glad that they put some things out there. So I'm thankful, because out there I would have still been, what is this? What's it called? So thankful that they exist and let me know. So I don't even know if this gets out, because I haven't had anybody. When they watched videos, I used to get new subscribers, but I haven't had one in like a long time. So I think the Fusion Center just buries this so that nobody sees it. But let them know I did not ask for this. I did not consent to be on this program at 14. And I did not ever consent to have this downloaded to anybody else or have anything else put in my body, wireless or in any way. So I just want that to be known. And I never want, whether when I'm alive or dead, I never want my body or any part of my body or my intellectual property, anything, to be used by my government or by anybody else in the world. It's mine, and when I go, I want, just let me be in whatever heaven God has, okay? Okay, bye-bye. Sorry, I'm a little on the aggro side, but it's just, anyway. I'm thankful for the TI groups that are out there. So other TIs, stay strong and make these videos. It's good. The emotions you have, it's good to let it out, and to help others understand what's going, if it's happening to them, to hear other people talk about it. So, all right. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. This verdict is a manifest injustice, plain and simple. Let's see. In stream. Politically fueled witch hunt